that's fine. That's all I need.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I can have your attention. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention. We're going live to the country. Just want to let you know, I'd like to introduce Vice Presidential candidate, Governor Bill Weld. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I heard somebody, one of the speakers 5 minutes ago, use the word movement. And it kind of reminded me that when I used to run as a Republican, I felt like I was part of an organization, and now I feel like I'm part of a movement. So we got two established monopolistic parties in Washington, D.C., the R Party and the D Party, and they're calcified and they're ossified, and there's no longer any movement in their joints, okay? So along comes the Libertarian Party this year, and we've got quite a lot of movement, and we got quite a lot to say, and we're not quite the same as the R Party or the D Party, because we're kind of socially inclusive and welcoming, and we believe in unleashing the energy of every element in our society, our polity, if you will, every ethnic group, and you know, men, women, you name it. We want to unleash their energies in support of the United States of America. That's not the Republican Party of today, okay? So we're not the same as the Republicans. And they got to their convention in Cleveland, and they set out to make their platform more mean-spirited than it was before they got to Cleveland, and they succeeded. They made it more mean-spirited. So the Democratic Party had a, very thrilling contested primary where the two candidates were trying to outdo each other in promises for things that would be free. And I think it's fair to say that they don't stand for fiscal conservatism as Gary Johnson and I did when we governed the states of New Mexico and Massachusetts. And there's another issue on which Governor Johnson has been particularly eloquent, which is that maybe the idea of using U.S. aggressive military force every time we see something in another country that we don't like what the government is doing, we say we should do regime change here with American blood on foreign soil and American boots on the ground in foreign countries. No, it's got to stop. Got to stop. So I like to say that Gary Johnson and I are a pair of Jeffersonian liberals. Jefferson. It was Jefferson, not Hamilton, who said that that government is best which governs least. It was Jefferson, not Hamilton, who said the sum of good government, S-U-M, of good government, is to restrain men from injuring each other. Okay? That's pretty close to a libertarian credo. So we got a lot of good ideas. And this year, I thought we were going to get a chance to run the table. If we got to 20% in the month of October, I thought we'd have the momentum. We could win the whole thing because we'd have Big Mo on our side. Unfortunately, the Commission on Presidential Debates, whose tax exemption is going to be repealed in the next 2 years, they're 501c3. They have to be nonpartisan. They're not nonpartisan. They think bipartisan, R and D, is nonpartisan because the R and the D pay all their bills, but it's not. And they're going to lose that tax exemption. I've really been thrilled with this campaign and all the people I've met, many of whom are in this room over the course of the last 6 months. I'm so grateful to Governor Gary Johnson for having given me the opportunity. It wasn't exactly a blind date because we served together as governors back in the 1990s, and as I like to say, it's a little bit of a garish metaphor, but we bought each other's dog food, okay? We really bought into the story that the other guy was telling, because both of us had governor as our first elective office, so we had the political will to cut the budget and make the changes that need to be made to make our states more fiscally responsible. Each of us was voted at different years, the most fiscally conservative governor in the United States in the 1990s. So when we talk about what we would do in Washington, it's not a plan, it's not a promise, it's not a hope. It's we've been there and done that. So there's a number of reasons why Washington and the R and the D monopoly there is as sick as it is. One of them is they've gotten hyper-partisan, hyper-gerrymandered. All the R's are way off to the right. All the D's are way off to the left. They know they can only be defeated in a primary, never in a general, because they're in safe districts. And so they're just obsessed with getting reelected. So I was national chair of 2 organizations when I was governor. One was the Privatization Council, because I think the private sector can do most things better than the government, okay? And the other was U.S. term limits. Howie Rich was the chair. It was a joy. And, you know, it's a little-known fact that the states can have a convention, Article 5 convention, to force the adoption of term limits, even if Congress says no, as Congress definitely will do. So we should be going there. And I look forward to getting to Washington and making a real pest of myself to say we need this term limits and we should have the states do it, okay? We need to have a balanced budget so we're not eating our way into debt that's going to hollow out our economy and make us uncompetitive internationally. And if Congress won't say yes, we need to have the states do it. This is a consistent theme. One of the bedrock principles of the Libertarian Party is that the federal government is a government of enumerated powers. And part of the Bill of Rights, and the Congress would the convention would never have approved the Constitution back in 1787 if there hadn't been an agreement to have the Bill of Rights. The 10th Amendment is part of the Bill of Rights, and it says that the powers of the federal government are enumerated powers, specified powers, and the powers not expressly granted to the federal government are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. That would be us. You know, our platform, our dogma is so much more exciting than the platform and the dogma of the Republican or Democratic Party. There's no comparison. So I've thought from the beginning of this campaign that we were going to have a replica of the 1850s. The Republican Party is going to split in two, like the Whig Party did in the 1850s. The know-nothings is going to disappear, and the nice, common decency people are going to elect a wonderful president in 3 or 4 years. In 1860, that was Abraham Lincoln, okay? So we've got a big idea, which is liberty. It's the same idea that the Free Soil Party had in 1848 and 1852, fed into the Republican Party, which elected Lincoln, and it's been too little taken account of the last 20, 40 years in the United States. Everything we in this room stand for, freedom and liberty. And I feel that my brain has been opened this year, and as I say, I can't wait to get back to Washington and speak truth to power. And I want to introduce the man who made that all possible for me, okay? I've had a breakout year this year, in terms of clarity of thought, thanks to this man who's an old friend of mine. He's the most honest, he's the most humble, he's the most public-spirited man I've ever met. Our candidate for president, Gary Johnson.
Bill Weld. Bill Weld. Wow. Beyond my wildest dreams, that guy was my running mate. Eight major newspapers endorsed our campaign to be president and vice president. Trump 1, Johnson Weld 8. And if I could summarize those 8 papers, and one of them was the Chicago Tribune, Cubs won the World Series, right? Chicago Tribune's claim to fame endorsed Lincoln, the last third-party candidate to win. 2 days ago, the largest newspaper in South Carolina, Charleston, they endorsed our campaign. And you know what the 8 newspapers said? They said, these guys might not win, but we as newspapers have an obligation to point out the best candidates for president. And that's 2 former Republican governors that served in heavily Democrat states, got reelected by bigger margins the second time than the first time, weren't wallflowers, actually did stuff when they were governors. And they are talking about an agenda that everybody that intends to run for political office better study, better understand what it is they're saying, because anybody that's going to be successful politically in this country in the next 10 years is going to have to mimic what these guys have to say, because they're saying it. They're telling the truth. They're being honest about this. That you can't continue to spend the amount of money that we're spending. You can't not address the entitlements, Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security. You know, Bill and I are pledging we were pledging a balanced budget in the first 100 days. Why is that important? Well, it's important for young people. All this is important for young people. Young people are getting screwed. I'm going to get my health care. I'm going to get my retirement, and you're going to have to pay for it as a young person. You're going to have to pay for it, and it probably won't be around by the time you need to take advantage of it. And President Obama's Affordable Health Care Act, dependent on young, healthy people paying for those that are older and not so healthy. And then when it comes to our military interventions, when it comes to regime change, we're asking young people to put their lives on the line. And with no real reason, with no real clear objective. So what I would like everybody here to walk out of here tonight thinking is, you know what, we came to dance, and let's dance. There's a lot to celebrate, a lot to celebrate. This is a celebration. I think it is just the start of a really big movement, the libertarian movement. Yeah, it is. I think the next election cycle, I think there are going to be so many wonderful candidates line up, all from top to bottom on the libertarian ticket. And I think that there is going to be a third voice. And you know what? We weren't in the presidential debates. And that sucks. And so if there's one thing that comes out of this campaign, it's, hey, the Presidential Debate Commission wears no clothes. Republicans Democrats that have no desire whatsoever to see anyone else on stage other than a Republican and a Democrat. And when you consider the fact that today, 50% of Americans that are going to register to vote are registering as independent. Well, where is that representation? And if you vote for the lesser of two evils, what do you end up with? But here we are. We didn't win tonight, so let's wish the eventual victor tonight best wishes to bring America together. Let's hope that that takes place. But every single one of you, by voting conscience, that's how you change things. You change things by voting for who you believe in. That's how you change things. And think about it. 2 days from now, who did you vote for? 2 months from now, who did you vote for? 2 years, 20 years, always hold your head high. All of you, you absolutely rock. Thank you very, very, very much for being out here and supporting this campaign. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to every veteran out there. Thank you to all active members of the military. My 97-year-old father is here. Paratrooped into Normandy before D-Day. Thank you, Father. And my mother is here. Mom, thank you. We wouldn't be in New Mexico if it wasn't for my mother. And my sister is here, and my brother-in-law is here. My mother-in-law, Betty, thank you. Everybody, thank you. Everybody here is connected, and it's all family, and thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more speaker I'd like to introduce to you. Tonight we have the honor to have the chairman of the Libertarian Party, Nicholas Sarwark.